Hey everybody, welcome to another model building workshop. I am Mr. Allen. I am coming to you on behalf of the Smith Hill Library, one of the community libraries in Providence, and I'm working here out of my basement workshop. And today we're going to look at a series of aircraft, which are the PZL family of planes. It says the PZL P-23. I don't know if it's Karas or Karas. For those of you out there, feel free to correct me on this. I know it's Polish, and it stands for carp, the fish. And then this is the Bulgarian version, which is the PZL 43, Cheka, which I guess is a Seagull. And we're going to look at a few different variations of this aircraft. So the PZL 23 was a reconnaissance and light attack aircraft invented in Poland in the mid-1930s, or perhaps early 1930s. Let me check, in fact. When in doubt, get the books out. So let's take a look at the history of this interesting aircraft. So it says here, and this is the Combat Aircraft of World War II by Bill Gunston, which I've referred to many times in this channel. And he says here, designed by a team led by Stanislaw Prouse, the P-23 was hardly beautiful, yet it provided the tactical attack capability of one of Europe's largest air forces in the late 1930s. That's right, Poland had a impressive air force. By the outbreak of World War II, 14 of the bomber regiments of the Polish Air Force had been equipped with this plane. And its successor, the greatly improved Sum, was about to enter service. When this was designed, 1931 and 32, this is earlier than I said, the Karas was an outstandingly modern aircraft, and one of its radical features was being the use of smooth skin of light alloy balsa sandwich construction. And it carried a bomb load far heavier than any of its contemporaries and had no defensive blind spots, though its firepower was rather meager, it says here. And a more powerful P-43 was built for Bulgaria. So I guess 12 of the 43A being followed by an order for 42 of the Model B, all of which were delivered before the start of World War II. We're going to look at that in just a second. And despite the skill and heroism of the Polish squadrons, they were soon overwhelmed, but a handful of these aircraft did manage to reach Romania, and they were refurbished and then put into use against the Soviet Union. Unfortunately, there's no really good photographs in this book of it. There's a couple, but it's one of those things where these other planes tended to take up a larger space in the book. But you can see it down the bottom here. I find it to be a really interesting aircraft, obviously, because I bought a few. But I'm one of those people that tend to like the oddball, ugly aircraft. And I think this is certainly one of those. But these are the things that fascinate me. So this is the Heller version, which I built. I built this quite a long time ago, actually. I think I built this as a teenager. And it's held up really well, I think, considering the age of this model. I like how the Poles had this slightly off centered kind of placement of the decals, or the emblems, on their top of the aircraft. The bottom was a little more contemporary. Yeah, so I built this one a long time ago. This was brush painted, and I think this one came out pretty well, considering. This is before I had an airbrush, and I didn't use a rattle can either. So this is the Heller version, and I think Heller planes, I like them. Maybe they're not for everybody, but I think they're fun. These old Heller kits, I no longer have the instructions or the box for this. But I did do a couple of versions of this at one time or another. This one still survives. because I did the Romanian version as well. And here we have, I guess this is maybe PZW. It's hard for me to really make out what that is. Okay, yes, I guess it's PZW. And there's a breakdown of what it stands for there. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. It's a 1/72nd scale aircraft. I am not at all familiar with this company. And look at the age on it, for age 7. And I think this has potential to be used for a young kid. That's one thing I thought was interesting about this. And what I found, well, there's a story to this kit, because I had ordered some models from overseas. I think this came out of Ukraine, maybe Poland. I think this did come from Poland, because I tend to use eBay a lot, and I tend to get stuff from all over the place. And this one was sent to me as a bonus kit, which I thought was really cool that the vendor did that. And I've never heard of this company. Well, let's take a quick peek at this. I'm going to try not to get everything everywhere, because it's just loose. Oh, God, I should be careful. This is going everywhere. Oh, boy. Yeah, sure is. So this is a, well, as you can see, there's your engine and cowling. So the detail of this kit is really poor. But hold on, let's not get after it yet. This is the top and bottom of the wings here. And I think this has a real good place for, especially for me doing model building with kids, because this looks like this could be assembled with some ease by a kid starting out. So I thought this had some really potential here if I can carefully get these pieces out without dropping them everywhere. I mean, there's like zero detail. I'm not gonna even pretend that this is like a serious model kit for, you know, an adult builder, but look at that, you know, boom boom, and a little bit of glue, and that's together, and I think it will sit relatively easily, yeah, on there. The fit's pretty good. So I think this is going to be ideal. These things go everywhere. For a kid trying to build something like as a first model kit. So I was quite thrilled to see this, because I do have kids that are going to be starting out. One thing I did do for a kid trying to build, this big propeller looks awkward. I do have another propeller from a different aircraft, but I think that might be easier for the kid to put on. We'll see. We'll see. You know, it's going to depend on what kid gets this kit and a skill level, but I think this will be pretty good for a youngster. The instructions, however, are pretty awful. So I will have to add a lot of guidance to the youth building it, but I don't think it's going to be a challenge, really. And then everything here is all in Polish. Quite a lot of story there. And I do recall, I don't know if I can show you easily or not. Ugh. Bear with me. Yeah. The machine guns on this thing, if you can see that there below the wheels, is pretty awful. So I did add some other options from another kit in here. You know, they're going to be hard. Well, yeah, it's going to be impossible to see those, but I don't know if you can see the black gun down there. Probably not. Yeah. So I'm going to put those in there as an added possibility, depending on the kid. Decals look good. Well, you don't know until you put them in the water. And I always found the checkerboard to be a really cool emblem. So let me carefully try to get this shrapnel back in the bag here. Because, yeah, there's... oh, boy. Perhaps I should pause this for a second. Let me pause and get back to you. Okay, I got that back in the box, but with with great difficulty. So I'll be careful taking that back out again. And it's got a couple of other kits that shows on the back of the box here that they also make. So I've never heard of this company, and I think this is going to be fun for the right kid. And then we have this one, which is definitely not child-friendly. In fact, this tends to scare me. I got this at a model show for a good price because it looks really cool. Give you some examples of some of the marking options there. So this is a 1/48 scale aircraft. This is from Mirage Hobby, which I built a lot of their tanks, which I enjoyed building. Of course, those are older kits. This one is fairly newer. Does it have a date on it? I don't see one here. I suppose I could look this up, but this is a more, I know this is a more recent kit. It's got some photo etch in there. Because the Mirage Hobby tanks I built were from the 90s, and I know this is much more recent. And things have changed a lot with Mirage Hobbies over the years. So carefully, okay. So let's take a look at the instruction sheet or booklet. It's pretty massive. I'm going to start with the back with the different marking options. So this is Bulgaria. This is early in the war, and it had this marking configuration before it switched to the white square with the black X in it. The I think it's St. Andrew's Cross, I believe. So this is early in the war. Yeah, I guess, yeah, like 39. Yeah, they did not play a significant role. Let me see. Yeah, they didn't really do a whole lot according to this in the war. But... okay, so here's the instruction sheet, which is quite beautiful, but this is going to be a complicated build. A lot to it. Come on. Yeah, so this is going to be a project. If anyone's built one, please reach out. I'd like to hear what your experiences were like. Looks like there's a choice of machine guns here. Yeah, different options of machine guns. If I can show you that. Quite an interior to put together. And then you have choices if you want the spats or without the spats with the wheels. So I know one thing that tended to happen on muddy runways and airfields, mud tended to get packed into those things. It could be a problem. More gun options for the lower gondola. And then you have choices for the cockpit. And the wing roots and stuff are in here. This is one of those you have to take your time and focus on. I mean, you should do that with any model, really, but this does not look like something you're going to be able to rush. Not that you would want to, but but if you're on a deadline for some reason, this may not be the one you want to build. And the bottom shows you some interior painting, which I think is a nice feature too. So with this kit, it's also pretty cool that, all right, this gives you, that's interesting. I have masks for an airplane, that this isn't it. Then I'm in row 43. Okay. Nothing to do with this model. What about this one? Okay, so this one is, these masks go to it. And then what else we got here? Discussion of the, no, that's the instructions for the masks. These are by Edward. Here's the decals, which look really cool. Although these things tend to make me nervous when you do those. Let me take a look. Yeah, because you have to paint the engine cowling. What I find difficult with this is that, all right, so you've got this long decal running down the side, but you have to somehow try to match the paint color there to the decal. I'm not the world's greatest painter in that regard, so trying to match that color can be really difficult. You can only hope that it lists a Vallejo paint number here. Let's just hope that it really matches that, because I've never really found the decal and the paint to actually match well. Then you have your sprues where you've got an awful lot of glass. Well, being a reconnaissance plane, you would have a lot of glass, but boy, that's a lot to mask. And I'm trying to carefully open this thing up, because that is loaded with pieces. I mean, it is chock full of nuts there, huh? Let me see if I can carefully get this so we can look at it without being a complete danger show here. Oh, let go. There's a ton of plastic. And it's stuck. All right, so let's have a look. So there's the size of this thing. Interesting compared to the 72nd scale, huh? So your fuselage halves. Let me pause. My allergies are starting to act up. Hang on a second, folks. Okay. Not sure where you guys are in the world, but here in Rhode Island, the pollen has been insane. I'm filming this in June of 2024. It's been like this big green wave of pollen blowing everywhere. The other day when it rained, it just left this green slime all over the road. So yeah, the trees and the plants are really having a good old time this year. All right, so there's some flaps there to look at. Here's the underside of the some of the wing parts there. It's a pretty solid plastic here. Get all the wing pieces there. And then we get to the fiddly bits. Oof. Loose propeller flying around here. And there's engine parts all over the place here. And it looks like they probably, yeah, they clearly have parts for different variants in the same box. Because you've got this engine, and there's another engine. I don't know if you can see that very well. Blank. Yeah, let's try this. See if this helps. Blank background behind it so you can see some of those parts. Look at the detail inside the fuselage has. It looks pretty good. So I find this is miles ahead of the Mirage kits I was building back in the 90s. I mean, I guess it should be, right? 'Cause it's been a while. Yeah, and you get the twin blade propeller here instead of the 3-blade one. Let me get that sheet of paper back here. Try to help this out along a little bit. So you can see that. So that's kind of interesting that you have the parts for different variations here. Big exhaust pipes, all sorts of goodies in there. Yeah, and a different engine. So that's a look at a few different model kits of the PZL 23 and in this case the 43. So that's just something fun to look at. Polish aircraft, I think, are fascinating and often overlooked in the World War II inventory, which I think is a shame, but I'm glad that there are manufacturers that make these model kits, you know, but Heller's been doing it for quite a while, so I'll give them, you know, a tip of my hat, you know, for putting these things out ages ago. And yeah, I thought that was a great fun when I discovered them as a teen, and I'm glad that they are still releasing this stuff. I know a lot of Eastern European countries have been putting out kits of all sorts of fun stuff like this, so happy modeling. So keep on modeling and have fun out there, okay? We'll see you soon on the next model building workshop. Get you a close-up of this guy. This is still around. Oops. And I think it's a fun one. All right. We'll see you soon.